All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends on where you are. Today, we are starting off with a generative AI Q&A session. And particularly today, we want to focus on few things. It's more of a Q&A session, so I'm not planning to go into the details, but I still have few things lined up from overall agenda point of view. My name is Ritesh Vajariya. I founded a company called AI Guru. Primarily, I'm in the education business, if you think of it, but at the same time, also helping companies do the generative AI consultation. And at the same time, community leader. Have built few things in the frame of generative AI. Let's get started quickly. So I have only two things in my agenda today. It's very simple. We will go over whatever the recent generative AI news are, and maybe I'll also, as a part of that news, I'll give some insight of my point of view of what it means and then where this is heading. And then we will jump into a Q&A. I'll open up the floor for all of you to ask questions. And if I cannot if I cannot answer your question, I'll take a note and I'll follow up with you. But 9 out of 10 times, I'm positive that I should be able to answer the question. So the first thing first, the very first thing on my mind in terms of the news item. Anthropic is a company. Now, many of you may not be familiar with. I'm sure some of you are familiar with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is created by a company called OpenAI. Now, ChatGPT is not the only thing in generative AI. There are many other things in generative AI. And one of the competition of ChatGPT is coming or created by a company called Anthropic. And Anthropic created something called Claude. It's similar to ChatGPT. In some cases, it's better than ChatGPT. I use it every day. I mean, no offense, I use ChatGPT as well every day, but I'm more leaning towards Anthropic as my primary generative AI chatbot, if you ask me. Recently, what they've launched is called computer use. And why I'm mentioning it here is when Anthropic, and it's in preview, but let's say you as an engineer or you as a builder will build application using Anthropic's computer use functionality. What would that allow you is that will allow you to control the computer remotely. What do I mean by that? Let's say a simple example. It's Thanksgiving here in US, and there is a Black Friday tomorrow, so there is a lot of shopping going around throughout the US, a lot of discount and whatnot. And Amazon.com comes to my mind whenever we are thinking of shopping, right? Because not that I used to work for Amazon, but that's a default location for many people to go and shop. So let's say with computer use, you would be able to program in a way where me as a person, I don't need to log into Amazon.com and sign in and purchase an item. That agent or the computer, in a way, AI, would be able to open the browser, whether it's Chrome, Edge, Firefox, you name it, go to Amazon.com, log in with your credential, assuming you're giving the credential as a part of the process. And if you are instructing correctly, that, okay, go and buy the AirPods, for example, right, which is very hot product. It will search for AirPods. It will make sure that it's you opening up the right product name from the 1,000 AirPods you may see in the search bar. From there, it will buy, so add to the cart. It will uh, go through the login authentication process. It will provide the purchasing mechanism, however it was decided, and it will order it for you. Now, it's very simple thing if you think from a flow point of view, but it's very advanced. To achieve that, it has to do so many things from a process point of view. It has to have control on your computer. So it can click, so it can type, so it can enter so many details. But that is where we are heading. I mean, it's still early days. When I say early days, it's very, very early days where right now we are only seeing where it's able to go to the Google and search something and click on something and hit to the whatever website, whether it's Amazon or any other website. But that is progressing, right? And it's progressing faster than even I anticipated. I mean, I've been in this business for many years now, and I did not expected this to happen in 2024. I was expecting this in 28, 29, towards 2030, to be honest. And but it's progressing faster than what I had anticipated from an overall program point of view. So that computer use is going to be sort of a tremendous uh, use case, and developers who wants to get their hand dirty, there are few containers out there, and I can share the link afterwards in terms of how you can build it. Actually, there is one YouTube video I created maybe a couple of weeks ago to support that, how you can build a computer use, and I'll share that link afterwards. But saying that, I'll jump to the third line item instead of before I go to the second one, is OpenAI, which is, I'm sure you have heard of that company, the company behind ChatGPT. They are also thinking in similar direction. They are calling it operator. Again, it's a speculation. It's not sort of a news out there, but primarily the reporters, Bloomberg particularly broke this rumor that OpenAI is developing something called operator, and that operator would do similar functionality what we just talked about from Anthropic's computer use. So it's all sort of becoming in a way where agents, you may hear that term often and often, that agents are becoming more and more prevalent in a daily usage. Where does it leave us? What we will do as a human, right? If computer is doing everything for us, if AI is doing everything for us, well, it's a good thing, because what AI is doing is AI is sort of removing the mundane task from our life, and it's allowing us to think more creatively. It's allowing us to work more efficiently so that we can focus on the higher order value than the lower order value, right? It's always good in if you think from an industrial revolution point of view. I mean, before uh, the car came, right? I mean, probably as a generation, we all used to have some different mechanism for transportation. Before plane came, there was a different mechanism for transportation. And what it allowed us to do, it allowed us to remove that barrier and made us more efficient, right? I mean, with car, we all are more efficient. Same way, AI is kind of making us more efficient as a human. That means that allows us to think at a higher order, and that would push us to do beyond what we have been doing as a human, as a generation, right? So don't think that this is going to take away your job. It's more of, if you don't get on board, somebody else will take your job who already knows AI. Cool. All right. So that's on the number one and number three. The number two is more important from an overall adoption point of view. The reason I say it, some of you may have heard it. If not, that's fine. There is a model created by Facebook or Meta, however you know them. The model is called Llama. Llama model has various flavors. Like Llama has a smaller model, like 8 billion parameter model. Think of a small brain. Llama has a medium-sized model, a 70 billion parameter. That's like a medium brain, or a young adult brain, if you ask me. And Llama created the biggest model. They launched it in July of this year. It's 405 billion parameter model. Let's think of it as like an adult brain. And when we look at the scientific benchmark of that Llama model, it's very high in a sense. It's neck to neck comparison to OpenAI's ChatGPT as well as Anthropic Claude. Why does it matter? When we are looking at the model from ChatGPT or OpenAI, the ChatGPT model or the Anthropic model, both model are closed source. What does it mean, closed source? That means we as a engineer, we as a developer, or whoever, you as a developer, you do not have access to the internal of the models. That means you cannot change it. And with Llama, that change happened. Llama, they created for community, they created for all of us so that we can go and change that. So let's say default, by default, the model like ChatGPT doesn't know what healthcare domain is. So that means you need to sort of tweak its brain to understand what healthcare domain is or a financial domain is. Now, you cannot do that. It's only OpenAI can do that, assuming they are not opening up the source code. Or you cannot deploy it in your own location. Like many countries have a restriction that they cannot send the data, citizen data, out of their country. Like I see at least 4 countries being represented in this call, from what I know of people. That means people whose data is local to that country, they cannot send it to somewhere else. Like OpenAI, ChatGPT is running in US. Many country cannot send the data to the US. What they want to have the same kind of AI brain, but they want to do it in country. That's where 405B comes in picture. That is gigantic model allows you and me to sort of do at a similar category from a brain capacity point of view. But now what happened is that model is one thing, but running that model is completely different ball game. And a company called Cerebras System, and full disclaimer, I work for Cerebras System as my day job. We recently launched the fastest inference possible. Now, here the number says 969 tokens per second. What does it mean? When you ask something in ChatGPT, and then let's say it's generating like 50, 60 words, right? That 50, 60 words equal to somewhere around 100 tokens. Now, to get to that 100 tokens, sometimes it takes 3 seconds up to 5 seconds. Now, imagine if 100 tokens takes 3 seconds to generate. 1,000 token, close to 1,000 token, will easily take about 30 seconds to generate. Now, 30 seconds is a long time. If we think 3 seconds, maybe okay, our human brain is adjustable. But 30 seconds, we cannot adjust our human brain. So there are responses which require 30 seconds. Then we are like, okay, this is not fast. And when you get the brain, like 405B, which is the superlative brain, at a speed of a 969 second, almost like 1,000 tokens per second, that's amazing. That's mind-boggling. And that's kind of a we are going from the dial-up internet. I'm sure some of you might be familiar with dial-up internet. If not, that's okay. In old folks like me, we used to have a phone line next to our computer, and using the phone line, we would call, dial the internet. But now that has changed. We all are in the fiber optics mode. Now, in the dial-up internet, we could not do Netflix. So Netflix had to ship the DVD to our home so that we can watch movies. Yes, that was a business back in 90s, late 90s and 2000. But now we see Netflix on our laptop, on our mobile. That's possible because the speed of the internet, right? So think of the speed of AI. Right now at 100 tokens per second, it's going at 1,000 tokens per second for some of this highest category of model, and it's improving further. So that is going to open up more and more use cases in the coming weeks, coming months. All right, that's 3 things top of my mind. This something, the fourth one just came in yesterday, and I added actually this morning, is Andrew Ng. I would call him the godfather of AI. I mean, there are a few godfathers of AI like Jeffrey Hinton and others, but Andrew Ng is the new generation of godfather of AI. And he founded Coursera, he founded deeplearning.ai, and many other things. And he's a Superman in a way. But his team recently launched a Python, which is a programming language. And as a part of Python programming language, they launched a package which allows anybody. So if you or me are using that Python package, and we are embedding within our, and it's on open source, so anybody can use it free. It allows us to ingrain within our Python framework, whatever we are developing. And let's say today, ChatGPT is the best model. But tomorrow, ChatGPT is not the best, or we may not want to use ChatGPT, and we want to move from ChatGPT to Claude or to Llama model. Using this package, it will require a very small, minor change in terms of change the name from ChatGPT to Claude, and from Claude to Llama, and boom, you don't need to make any code changes. You don't need to make any configuration changes. Things will work as is. Now it's amazing because people wants to have a choice. And when you have a choice, then only you will have a competition, and then only you will have innovation, right? And this is exactly going in that direction, that making it more innovative for others to adapt and adopt, and so many things. Cool. Enough of my monologue. But thank you for tuning in. Let me jump into the last slide. I promise it's only 2 slides, and the last slide is about questions. So I'll open up the floor. Anybody who has a question. I have a couple of questions lined up. Actually, people ping me that, hey, we cannot be on the call, but if you can ask this question on our behalf. So I'll switch to that if there are no other questions here. But feel free. This is your own time, and think of me as your mentor, guru, coach, or a friend.
Hello, am I audible?
Hi. Yes, Jash.
Yes, my name is Jesh Mathugia. I'm a professional in computer science. Recently, I have been in touch with one system. I have to build one system surrounding the booking of the holidays. The concept is currently I am a system. I need to approach of to my whole number of peoples to whom I have records of. I have to ask them, so and so travel package is there. Are you interested or not? They need to respond me in any ways, because the user we cannot restrict them, right? In the SMS we
Yeah,
cannot restrict them. So
correct.
according to that, I need to use multiple tools, right? Because I have to know their intent. If they are asking that, yes, I'm interested, but I need some more information, right? So there are two types of things there. They first show the intent, and they second show the need for more information. So I'm currently out of context, that because I'm new to this domain, and what should be approached, and need the specifications for this kind of projects.
Okay, wonderful question. Let me rephrase, or let me at least explain what I understood, and then correct me if I'm wrong anywhere. But you want to build a system, some sort of a software, let's call it software, right? For now, that software allows your users or your constituents, where you are sending some message, whether it's SMS, email, broadcast, whatever it is, mainly for travel. And as a part of that, you want to have some sort of a response first from them. And based on that, you want to make an educative decision, and maybe you want to create some sort of an itinerary for them, that uh, okay, I'm sending you, would you be, maybe the question you might be asking, the very first is, would you be interested in going in Paris? Maybe you are a travel agent, and then as a part of that, you want to do that, and you may get
Yes.
an answer as yes or no. And then based on yes, you may want to send them some sort of an itinerary. Am I going in the right direction from your system's point of view?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So how to do this? That is the actual question, correct?
Yes. There are two parts, right? We have the uh, if we am plan I'm planning something, that I'm planning the tour for the Paris. So I would make a sort of document over there, right? That these are the days, nights over there, and these are the locations we will go to. Uh, a kind of a knowledge, right?
Hmm.
And also we have to answer their questions regarding the knowledge. And if they ask us that, so yes, I'm interested, what is the length of the tour? So
Yeah.
that is a knowledge based question. There are two things, one is the intent, and second is asking for the knowledge.
Hmm.
So there are two combinations. That's why I'm a bit confused over there.
So the way you want to approach this is a systematic flow, right? The very first is
Yes.
you need to know the intent. Based
Yes.
on that intent, you have to have a sort of a, what I would call, an iterative set of questions planned. That, okay,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
once they say yes, so it would be a flow, right? In a way that
Yes.
first they enter into the system, if it is yes, then have them answer, maybe pick one, two, or three choice, and whatever the three choice could be. That you want to do a 1 week trip, 1 month trip, or 6 month trip. I'm just hypothetically coming up here, right? As an example.
Yes.
Then from there onwards, you want to decide further flow. Okay, you are interested in 1 week trip. Okay, would you be interested in summer, winter, or whatever the weather is, right? So
Yes.
that's your timeline. Based on the timeline, you know the 1 week, you know the summertime. Then it comes down to, okay, the flights are cheaper in the month of, let's say, August compared to the month of May, right? So would you be
Yes.
interested in going in the month of August or month of May? So sort of you are going through the iteration from a flow point of view. Now here you need some knowledge base, because first initially you are creating that flow, what I call, right, from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7, whatever the flow number is. And based on that, you are making some decision. So you need some decision making power as well. And quite
Yes. Yes.
likely, if it was me who was designing something like this, I would do it two way. One is I would use a system which allows you to do the flow creation, right? So you, whatever that flow is, you need to come up with that flow and possible combination of each flow, right? What all things user would be asking for, or maybe you are presenting to the user, and you take that as an input. And ideally, yeah, in this age of generative AI, you feed it to a model like Claude or ChatGPT via the API calls, not like a chatbot, but via the API calls, and let model make the decision for you. Because travel is a very well-known industry, and most of the destinations throughout the world, both model, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude, would have covered it very well. There is highly unlikelihood that the model would not know anything about that particular location from when we are looking at the location of famous location. Maybe a very small town in a very small country, that's a different use case. But for famous locations, both should have equal weightage, and then they would be able to make decision better than you creating your own system. Does it make sense, or the flow jive well?
Yes. I understood regarding the flow creation. That but the aspect is that I am completely new to this domain. That's why the
Okay.
flow creation in this AI part, right? Because I have a little bit gone through the multiple uh, um, algorithms in the Python, but they are not. I have described this approach into different parts. First is the intent. I will use the knowledge part later on, but first in the intent.
Mhm.
So I was worrying about
You
first
don't
in
need
intent only.
you don't need AI to do that intent. There are
Okay.
flow software available which allows you to. You just need to know the flow. It would be more of a workflow, if you ask me, right? So like that, and again, the very first software comes to my mind is a voice flow. It's meant for the voice command. Based on the voice command, it takes an input and then allows you to go into the flow. But similar to a voice flow, I'm sure there are text-based flow as well. But it's not AI. The flow is
Okay.
not AI. The whatever you come out from the flow, and the answer what you receive, you feed that answer to AI, and the decision what you get as a result, that is AI generated result. So you have sort of two blocks. One is non AI for your flow, and then you have an AI as a part of your entire decision making process.
Yes. Yes. Understood.
And again, in this short interest of time, I may not be able to show you the code and everything. But
No. No.
if that is something you have an interest, or some diagram, we can certainly touch upon offline, or maybe towards the end of the call.
So thank you. Thank you. Thank you about that.
All right, great, good question. Super. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay,
Yes, Vigni,
can I ask you?
please.
Thank you. Sorry, I have a too general question about super intelligence. what do you see? Do you believe in super intelligence? And what we do for it? Thank you.
It's very hard to answer. Yeah, I believe in super intelligence. There is a term in industry, it's called use AGI, artificial general intelligence. And AGI, people are saying AGI is coming. Now, I'll be honest, I really, at this point, I don't know what to call an AGI. Would it be completely, I'm not doing anything and AI is doing everything for me? Even like I have this juice here on my table, drinking, AI is forcing me to drink this juice. That could be an AGI, or it's more about whatever we are operating on our laptop or on our phone, AI is controlling completely. Is that an AGI? Right. So there are so many difference of opinion if we look at the AGI as a definition from an industry point of view, but we are heading in the right direction towards that super intelligence. Like an earlier example, what I was giving out for computer use, right? That is a step towards AGI. The other thing I would call out those who are software engineers in the house, I'm not saying that your job is in danger, but you must start using AI to develop your code. Otherwise, somebody else will take over your job, not you, but somebody else will take over your job because there are software combination of AI plus software. I mean, GitHub Copilot is just one component of it. It's a very small thing it does, but there are other cursor AI and there are other systems which are going in the direction where you don't need to write the actual code. You just throw a business requirement document, and based on that requirement document, it will understood what actually needs to happen from a functionality point of view. And then based on that, it will generate the code in the language you specify. So going back to your example, Jash, you don't need to write the actual code. You need to sort of come up with an idea, what you are explaining here, but in English language, because most of these models understand English better. So maybe you create a one-pager narrative of that in an English language, that this is what I intend to do, what, how my code should be written, and this tool will write that code. Again, would it be close to 100% accurate? No, no way. Would it be 50% accurate? Probably. But high likelihood it's at the 30 to 40% accuracy, right? So once you get to that 30 to 40% accuracy, it's up to you to iterate further with that tool and get to that where you want to be. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, Yevgeny, it's once we move from that 30 to 40% to maybe a 60, 70, 80% into, let's say, that development workflow, then I would believe that, okay, yes, there is high likelihood that we are certainly going to achieve that super intelligence where AI is doing this most complex things. Because if you think software is the most, I would not call most complex, but it's a very complex thing in the world of what we live in. And if we are able to solve that complex problem using AI, where AI is able to successfully, repetitively create that software of whatever we ask, that's super intelligence in my opinion, right? So we are heading there. Would it be 3-year problem, 5-year problem, 10-year problem? I don't know. But we are heading in the right direction. At least in last 24 months, we are heading in the right direction. Hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm
Sure.
afraid we are talking about not only about technical issue, but about authority as well. Authority.
True. It's not just that, but yes, you are right. I mean, but my thinking is if we are able to solve the technical problem, the other problem may become less relevant.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Jay Kishan.
Hi.
Yeah, so I am is a part of the another product over there. So suppose I have one consent form over there, which like a trial listing all the things about the any of the patient over there. Okay. So I also restrict the consent form over there. Okay. So I want to ask some question to the directly to the patient over there. Okay, see, this is our consent form, and would you like to be a part of this trial or not? Okay. So after the yes no over there, so I have a consent. How can I train my model over there? Out of this consent form, the AI is not asking any question.
Mm, and your consent forms are digital?
No, it's a PDF file over there. Work file.
Okay. Okay. And so that I understand your question correctly, let me rephrase. So as a part of the healthcare domain, you are doing some clinical
Yes, yes,
trial, and
yes,
within the
yes,
clinical trial, you have a consent form with 10, 20
yes,
questions, and you are asking
yes.
user, are you taking,
By SMS,
are
by
you
SMS.
smoking? Or you SMS them.
Yes.
Okay. So you
I
SMS
am the
them.
first. I am the first of the reach out to the patient. I am the first uh, sending the SMS. Then after on the reply back from the patient wise, yes or no, or any of the another out of the consent form, might be some of the patient can ask some of the another questions also over there. So how can I restrict the answer myself to the using the generative AI? Means
Ah,
how can
okay.
how can I train my model? So yes,
So I think it's a two-phase approach, and maybe my brain today is sort of switched to the flow, because I think your question
yes,
is also falling to the same or similar line of thought what Jesh was talking about. But
yes, yes.
primarily, the first phase is not the AI, right? But
Okay,
the
okay.
first phase is more of a one, you define the flow,
Yes,
whatever that flow is. Now, and you want to restrict your user to stay within that flow, right? So it's not that
yes.
AI is going to solve every problem. Okay. That
Okay,
is given. So you don't put AI to every problem. You start with your
yes,
basic fundamental of a flow, what that flow look like for that clinical trial. And maybe you have a branches, maybe 2 or 3 branches, depends on how your flow looks like. And then you constrain that user to stay within that branch only, because you are predefining the flow. There is no way that user will be able to ask any other random question. Now if user asks random question, you take them back to the original question, saying that no, this is the question you cannot ask.
yes,
go
yes.
and go and ask me something around this topic only, right? So there are easy way to fix that, Jay Kishan, to be honest. And then you can apply AI however you want, but I don't see AI, at least in this scenario. What is your thinking about putting AI here?
I want to just ask how I can train my model. This human can directly send a SMS, but there is no human over there. It's a system
That's
generated
fine.
SMS. I want to use
Yeah,
Twilio using the
yeah.
Twilio. Yes,
Correct,
yes,
correct. And you don't need to fine tune the model. Okay, that's extreme. Typically you fine tune a model for very specific task. This is a common task. Even without AI, you should be able to do this, and you should strive to do it without AI first. It's not that you want to, because AI is available, you want to use it. No, not like that.
but it is a dynamic flow for all the different information in the consent flow. Means consent. It's like a It's like a diabetic patient,
Okay.
gastro patient. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
likewise, there is a
that's fine.
two
But
means
there is
trials are
still,
different.
understood. It's dynamic, but it's still
Yes,
within the constraint, right? You are not asking
yes,
patient that, yes, you could be a you could be a diabetic, you could be a heart patient, but
yes,
you
yes,
could be a cancer patient. But it doesn't mean that
yes,
they are moving from that 3 or maybe 10, or maybe you have 20 different categories, right? But it's still you are within that 20 categories. You are not into like thousands of different broad spectrum, correct?
yes, yes.
So again, I'm not saying that you should not use AI, but see if you can do it without AI, because that's even easier and cheaper, right?
Okay. Asking the question from myself is like only the there is a boundaries of the consent form. Okay, within the boundary, I can ask the question to the patient. Okay, without boundary, I cannot ask any of the question. So that's my point over there.
Yeah, no, fair point. And that is the reason I'm saying that you don't want to use AI because AI will think outside the box, and you want to stay within the box, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So I would again, there are different ways to skin the cat. I mean, wrong analogy, but
yes, yes,
technically speaking, you may want to stay within that boundary, and you want to apply
yes,
what I would call a rule-based algorithm, right?
yes, yes.
And when you applying your rule-based algorithm, technically speaking, you want to stay within those set of bounded rules, and the models like, call it ChatGPT, Claude, they are better at thinking outside the box than within the
Okay.
constraint.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay,
Sure.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Very interesting set of questions. Feel free to unmute and ask.
Okay, okay, okay. Great, great.
Okay. Assuming there are not other questions anybody has in their mind, let me put a question from offline. So the question from offline came in this morning, that a lot of next gen AI chips, and when we are talking about AI chips, one is being ours, being I work for Cerebras. So we have our own AI chips I was talking about earlier. Then there is a company called Grok. And the question is, they are providing an awesome API service, but it seems to be a lot harder to get a 405B running, even though the performance and use case would be an incredible way to solve it. So now this is more of a technical question, and then let me make it non-technical, at least for general population. So probably this gentleman or the lady who has asked this question are fascinated by this thing. Remember, we talked about the record Llama 405B, and they want to use this fastest AI model with the best brain available in an open source way, because they might be creating of something their own. And quite likely for open source, you have to have capabilities to do that, and speed to do that. And the problem what they are stating is, it's difficult to get 405B running. So that means they are trying to run 405 on their own as well on some of the other hardware, maybe AMD or maybe NVIDIA and whatnot. And they want to run this model at a scale. That is what my understanding is, because the person is not in the call, so I cannot exactly pinpoint. And the question is, why it's harder? Maybe that is the question. The hard part is because when we are looking at the size of a model, 405B, think of that model is a super giant model. And let me break it down for people. You may have heard of model size like Llama 8B or Llama 70B. And if you are not, that's okay as well. Typically, when we run the model like Llama 8B, it requires 8B is a 8 billion parameter model from a technical point of view. And in a real life, it requires a 16 GB of a memory, because each parameter would require 2 bytes. From a digital bits and bytes point of view, it required 2 bytes. So 8 billion parameter would require a 16 GB of your RAM. Now, RAM is in your laptop or desktop, but in a server where this model is being run, it's typically run on GPUs like NVIDIA, AMD, and whatnot. Now, each GPU has a memory limitation. The memory limitation is up to certain gigabyte. Like the recent available NVIDIA, which is the most famous company doing AI, has a 80 GB of a memory. So you cannot go beyond 80 GB on a single GPU. Let's say our model is 70B. That 70 billion model would require 140 gig of a memory. Now it cannot fit within a single GPU. So what we are doing is we are sharding that model. When we say sharding, we are cutting that model into multiple pieces. And then we store one piece into a one GPU, the second into the second GPU, and then so forth, right? And we fit in. Now, if you think from a 8 billion to a 70 billion, we moved from 16 GB of a memory to 140 GB of a memory. Now, if we look at 4 or 5 billion parameter model, and if we do that math, we are looking at 910 GB of a memory. Now, I don't think any server has this kind of a memory, or any GPU has this kind of memory available. That means you need to have, even if I do a simple math, let's say 900 divided by 80 would be somewhere around 12, 12 boxes, or at least 12 GPUs to at least run this on a load into the memory. And it's hard. When you shard a model, it's very difficult to run it in a synchronous fashion. And that's the reason the technical challenges comes up. And that's the reason it takes time. That's the reason OpenAI is what we see, that 50 words per second coming up on our screen, or 100 words per second coming up on a screen, is because of that. That means GPUs are typically this size. So there is a law of physics. If you have a smaller footprint, you can only do a small things, right? But if you have a big chip, you can do big things. So Cerebras, in this case, has a giant chip. It's like a dinner plate size. It's almost like I have it in my bedroom, but it's giant chip this size. And because of that physics, Cerebras is able to host more information into the memory. Because of that, it's not easy for the other providers or other companies to do it compared to what Cerebras is able to do. But I hope that answers the question what somebody had. Meanwhile, any other questions from the audience? Okay, silence is golden. So here is my question to you, and maybe you can use your emoji or whatnot. But was this helpful at all of what you heard today? I'm hoping yes. That's fine. And the second question is, if we have to do it again next week or next month, whenever it is, what topic would you be interested in discussing or coming up with? You can use the chat window to answer that question, or unmute yourself, whatever works best for you. Okay. What other topic, let's say we do it in December, would you be open to learn more about ChatGPT? Would you be open to learn more about Claude? Would you be open to learn more about how to solve a problem? What is your take here? Okay, if nobody has ideas, that's fine. I'm going to ask ChatGPT that what should I do next time? Just kidding. All right. But thank you everyone for tuning in. I know it's late in some cities and some countries, but thank you for showing your presence. Thank you for asking the questions. I hope I answered that question to the extent of your satisfaction. And feel free to ping me offline. Some of you had some peculiar requirement, so happy to do it offline and then work through that. Yes, Jai
One
Kishan, you
question.
unmuted.
Uh,
Please.
yeah. So, how can I create a flow? Could you please suggest me some of the guidelines and all the things?
Yeah, sure. So there are other systems out there which allows you to create a flow, right? I mean, I was giving you an
Okay.
example or giving Jesh an example about a voice flow, but there are many dialogue flow, or there are also intent-based mechanism which allows you to change the things however you want, right? And if you want, I can do some research for you after this call, and maybe can you ping me on LinkedIn so that I can
Yes, yes.
give you back the answer, and that
Sure,
way
sure.
we are at least in. I know which Jai Kishan to ping for an
Yes, yes,
answer.
sure, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. I hope
Yes.
that's it then, folks.
Okay. Okay.
I see Bhagi Pen. I think you just joined. I mean, we are wrapping up, but any questions for you? You have uh, anything to ask? We just wrapped up our discussion. Hi, Bhagi. Yes. All right. No worries. Great. So thank you, folks, again for tuning in, and hopefully we'll continue the in a next couple of weeks. Have a great evening.